Hello, welcome back to Clash of the Rams. I'm here with Davison Perez and Eric Russo, and we're discussing Super Bowl 49, Patriots Seahawks. So guys, we talked about the offense. Let's dig into these defenses, because these are two of the best defenses I've seen in a while, in a couple of years. So just give me your thoughts. What do you think are going to be the factors between these two defense, and just who has the better defense?
What I'm looking for on the Patriots side of things is how well is Matt Patricia going to be able to utilize Jamie Collins and Brandon Browner, because those are two very big guys that are able to move around and they're physical. So I think that if those two can get in a groove, whether it be, rushing Russell Wilson or, playing back, because they're very mobile, so they can match up with most receivers in the league. That's one thing I'm looking for on the Patriots side. On the Seahawks defensive side, I can see them trying to take away the middle from the Patriots. And I mentioned that Brandon LaFell is going to have a big game, and I still do think that. But it's going to be a tall task because it's hard when you have Earl Thomas and Richard Sherman up in the secondary, and you have such a mobile, because they have pretty mobile linebackers themselves. So it's going to be it's going to be interesting to see how they take away the middle and how Brandon LaFell is going to fare against those cornerbacks and safeties.
All right.
It's an interesting point by you. If Seattle jams up the middle and dares you to go deep, what do the Patriots do? They have LaFell, but they really haven't had a deep threat since Randy Moss. They really don't have that as a huge part of their offense. So what is Brady going to do if they do that? I think that's huge. On the Patriots side, as far as the defensive side goes, do you let Wilson sit back in the pocket and chip away, or do you go after him? Because he can be dangerous if you get him moving with his feet. So I think, Chandler Jones, Rob Ninkovich coming off the edge, forcing Wilson out of the pocket can be a good thing, can be a bad thing, depends. I think it's just going to be a huge chess match between these two defenses who, have maybe the two best secondaries in the league all year long.
And I have a little prediction going off that. Typical Belichick and McDaniels, they always throw weird stuff at you that you've never seen the whole year. Last week, 2 weeks ago now, we saw Devlin catch a touchdown pass in that game. So I think in this game you might see a guy like Timms, undrafted free agent, hasn't had a lot of playing time, deep threat. You might see him in there a couple plays. Even if the ball doesn't go to him, they might put him there just as a little distraction. So I mean, that's going to be something.
You never really know with the Patriots. I mean, with Solder running in, bumbling in for a touchdown, anything's really possible. So
exactly, that's a huge part of what the Patriots have done the last couple of weeks during the playoffs. They had the substitutions and making the Ravens go crazy and not knowing what was going on. They had the Solder play. They had the Devlin play. Earlier in the year against Buffalo, when Timms did get a chance, that was kind of a surprise play right out of the half. They throw it deep to him. Maybe, like you said, maybe that's something that comes out of the blue and kind of surprises Seattle. I have a feeling they're not going to be surprised by too much, but you never know what Belichick and McDaniels are going to pull out of the hat.
Now, Richard Sherman likes to talk about it, so I feel like we have to discuss it. We have two of the best cornerbacks, probably. Revis, as far as longevity, yes, definitely. But Sherman, you have to admit, is one of the best up-and-coming defensive players there is at 6'3" as a cornerback. So just let's talk about them a little bit. Which of them do you think is going to be the bigger factor going into this game?
That's tough. That's really tough. Sherman, like you said, he's up and coming. Revis has never played in this game before. I think Revis is going to be jacked up for this game. This is what he plays for. You've heard him talk about it over the last couple of weeks. This is why he came to New England, is to play in this game. So, he's been great. He was a little off in that Baltimore game last week. He was good again, but it's really tough. They're so close. They were both all pros this year. To really pick one or the other, I think is really difficult. But Revis, I think with Bronner on the other side, they've really found that niche and kind of helped the Patriots solidify that defense, which is the best since they were playing in Super Bowls before. And then on the other hand, you have Sherman with his surrounding cast. So it's tough for me to pick one guy who's better.
Yeah. We all know Richard Sherman likes to talk, and I I'm usually a big proponent of not minding about that. Like, as long as you back it up on the field, which we see that he has been able to back it up on the field. But going into the Super Bowl, I think it might be a negative for him because I think that he's going into it very relaxed, very as if he already knows what the outcome is going to be. And I appreciate the fact that Darrelle Revis has just been mellow, staying quiet because, you know, he knows that there are only so many chances that you can get at coming to the Super Bowl. The Seahawks have already tasted victory last year. Time will tell whether or not they, you know, win this year. But Darrelle Revis is taking it calm. He's going in, not really talking to the media like that. And I think that Revis is going to have a pretty big impact in this game, along with Brandon Brown, just like Eric said. And Richard Sherman, we're going to have to see if he lives up to his own hype that he's creating for himself. So
I definitely don't like Richard Sherman. I prefer Revis. Even when he was on the Jets, I respected Revis a lot for being a shutdown quarterback. But in this game, for some reason, someone's telling me if Sherman's going to be the bigger factor. If you have him on Edelman or even just one side of the field, I think it's gonna be very predictable what the Patriots are gonna do. I think they're gonna be a little worried to go to him. I know, like, a lot of people are like, oh, they're going to throw Sherman's way. I don't know if that's going to be their game plan. I think they're going to go up the middle a lot to Gronk. I think wherever Sherman is, they're going to avoid. And you're talking about Earl Thomas and Cam Chancellor, to, like, the best safety tandem I've ever seen watching football for over 10 years. So I think it's going to be a challenge for the Patriots to deal with Sherman. I think he's going to be the bigger factor. Right. But going on real quick, let's just discuss as far as it's the overlooked thing we'll talk about real quick that I wish we could have discussed it a little longer. But offensive line versus defensive line. Since we're talking defense in this segment, let's just talk about these two defenses. You have Will Fork, Chandler Jones on one side. Other side, well, not sides, but you know, I mean for defense, it's other side of the defense. You have guys like Maben and all those guys for Seattle.
Yep.
So, I mean, just which line do you think is going to be bigger in this game?
In terms of what? The defensive line or
which defensive line is going to be like better?
You know, it's tough to tell because, you know, overall the Seahawks defense, their front seven is much better than the Patriots. We know that. Seahawks are the best defense in the league. Will Fork and Chandler Jones and, you know, the guys on our Patriots front line have a lot cut out for them in terms of Marshawn Lynch to deal with, and I already know Pete Carroll's going to throw a lot of stuff at them, and the offensive line for Seattle isn't the worst offensive line in the world, so they're going to have their work cut out for them.
I think the Patriots' offensive line, that's something we've talked about all season long. They struggled a lot in the first month. Then they got it together. They found that five-man unit that they liked. But with Brian Stork out the last couple of weeks, it's kind of thrown things off. But they've been solid. But I think that's another big thing to watch in this game. He seems like he's going to be healthy, and they're going to have that five-man unit that's really carried them through the second half of the season. I think that's something to definitely watch, though, is the Patriots' offensive line in this game to protect Brady. That's been a lot of trouble the last two Super Bowls, is not being able to protect Brady. He hasn't had time. He hasn't had good games, and that's been a big reason why. So in this game, it should be a big one, too. It
all starts with Stork. When Stork's on the field, that line just melds together. Yep. Sorry to confuse you about the defensive and offensive line, but we'll move past that. All right, after the break, we're going to talk about Deflategate. That should be fun. All right, stay tuned.